All right, guys, thank you for coming. Appreciate everyone coming to talk about the team. Before I get started on this week's game, I'd be remiss if I didn't just make sure I said, it was a great win for us on Saturday, and really want to thank the students, the band, all the alums, all the former players, all the fans, everyone that came on Saturday. For us to walk in that fly-in when we first get to the stadium, and for it to be pouring rain, and people to still be out there, our band to be out there, really speaks to what we're trying to do, and really appreciate all those people and their support. And it was a great crowd, so it was a good win for us. And I was proud of our team because it was the first time that they've come back to win a game since we've been here, really since Steve's last year when they went to UConn. So for our kids to not have the lead and come back and find a way to win, I was proud of them, and that was a good step for them. And now we turn to an outstanding Houston team. So it's an exciting week for us. It's a short week, but it's an exciting week for us. As I told the kids, it's Friday Night Lights. We're going down to Texas to play on Friday night. Something you dream of, something I never thought I'd have a chance to do, to play on national TV, to represent Temple on ESPNU. I think it's a great opportunity for us, and hopefully we'll play well. Before I talk about them, I do want to say this. I think it's fair, what should be said. They have a linebacker, Derek Matthews, who's an outstanding football player. He's a great kid. He's a captain. I mean, for them, he's everything that the conference should be about. And he tore his ACL last week, and I know they'll have other players that'll step in, but it's not very often that I watch a player and feel like I want to say something. But I mean, he's exactly what college football's, how it's supposed to be played, and he's been doing it for a long time for them. So I know he's a senior, and I know his season and probably his career's over, other than going on to the next level. But I have a lot of respect for him, and just want to make sure I say that. And I look forward to hopefully seeing him before the game. Houston's an outstanding team. I mean, this stat's unbelievable. It's 30 straight games now that they've gotten a turnover. And, we didn't get a turnover on Saturday. 30 straight games that Coach Gibbs' defense has gotten a turnover. And they've got 19 this year, so that's about 3 a game. We played them last year here, a game that, with a minute 25 left in the game, was 15-13 them. And we turned the ball over 3 times in that game. We turned it over the first play of the game and the first play of the second half. So, as good as they are at everything else they do, they are experts. I mean, experts at taking away the football. So we have to do a great job of protecting the football if we want to have a chance in this game. And then we have to build off what we did last week, running the football. We have to find a way to run the football. We got under center last week. We handed it to Jihad. Thought the offensive line did a really nice job. We have to find a way to do that against a really stout rushing defense. They have good players all over. They're anchored in the middle by Joe Imbu, number 92. He's 3'10". He's a dominant inside guy. They have a safety, Trevon Stewart, who I voted last year for all conference. I thought he was the best safety in the league. So they have players all over the place on defense, and that's why they're ranked so highly. Offensively for them, or for our defense, they've made a change, a philosophical change, going with Greg Ward Jr. We're also preparing for O'Korn, but Ward's an outstanding, dynamic, dual-threat quarterback. He can throw the football. He threw for, I think, 4,200 yards at Tyler High School in Texas, so we know he can throw the football. He did at times last week, but he tucked the ball down against Memphis, and he beat him with his feet. And so we have to be prepared for design runs, his ability to throw, and his breaking it down, as well as being prepared for John if he comes in to play quarterback in their traditional offense. So, and then finally, I think we have to play well on special teams. Last week against Tulsa was the first time we felt like we were outplayed on special teams. In the last 2 games, the other team has kicked the ball to us 5 times that we've dropped. So that's five times we've dropped either a kickoff return or a punt return. And so our guys have to take a deep breath and just catch the football. Excuse me. And you can't do that against a team that creates turnovers like this. Tony Levine, their head coach, is an outstanding coach. He was a special teams guy in the NFL. He knows special teams. Akeem Harris is their kickoff return guy. He's, dynamic returner. So there's a lot of things that we have to do to have a chance in this game. We have to find a way to control Greg Ward and their outstanding wideouts, and we can't turn the ball over. We have to protect the football versus this outstanding defense. So with that, I'll see if you guys have any questions. My goodness. I think in preparing for both quarterbacks, that's just we have to do that. We can't guess. We have to prepare for both of them. So, and John's a runner as well, and we saw him last year. And you watch the UCF game, he tucks the ball, he goes down, he runs a guy over. He's a big physical athlete. We had him at camp here when he was in 7th and 8th grade when he lived in Pennsylvania. So, we're preparing for both of them, and they do a lot of other things. They're not just all spread out. They line up in a full house backfield. They have jet sweeps. They have a lot of outstanding wideouts. Deontay Greenberry, he's really dynamic airs, as I talked about. All those guys are good players. So we're preparing for everything. And if it means we have to work overtime, we're working overtime because they have a lot of weapons. I think he'll start the game, and then we'll see how he's playing, and how he feels. He got that, he got knocked out of the game there for a little bit. So, but I would anticipate him starting the game and toting the rock early.
And Matt, can you kind of walk us through the process of getting Rhule eligible, because that can kind of get shot like that?
Yeah, and it's a credit to. I think it's a credit. First of all, I'm gonna say it's a credit to the NCAA because I think they made a decision in his best interest. It's a credit to, I guess, as I said after the game, Hawaii, because they supported it. To lose a great player like that, who 65-yard touchdown against USC, Nevada, Oregon State, he scored against all those people last year, and they supported his decision to come home. Back to where he's from. I think that's a credit to who those people are, and it's a credit to our administration here and compliance staff. Because to be honest with you, I didn't do anything. I'm not involved in it at all, other than Quentin Smith and Sharita Freeman in that group, writing all the waivers. But, they applied to the NCAA and provided all the documentation, and they worked with Hawaii and they went back and forth a couple times, and then the NCAA made that decision in the student athlete's best interest. And so, Keith, if you get to know Keith, he's an outstanding young man. He's really a special kid as a person, and we're hoping he can help us wide-wise. I don't have a great. I kind of know a little bit of the story. Even that, I'm not even sure I'm allowed to say. That's why I'm a little hesitant, But and maybe Quentin can answer, those guys. Because I don't, But I just know it was, student athlete welfare is what it terms under, and they felt like it was in his best interest.
What makes them so good at generating turnovers? Are they literally a defense punching the ball out? Are they just in the right place at the right time?
Well, they're disruptive in what they do. They're blitzing. They're coming from everywhere. So they are going to make you play on your heels, first of all. So that's one thing. Number two, they have just great athletes. They have, they're not, except for their D-line. They have a bunch of guys, that can run. They're not, slow. They're athletic. And so, they do a great job reading the quarterback and breaking on balls and tipping balls. And they play as hard as anyone plays on defense in this league. They fly around, so they're running to try to go catch the ball, right? And then the third thing is they take the ball from you. If you're running with the football, they're going to run up and they're going to rip the ball out of your hands. I think it was the BYU game. I'm just watching it at home. I think it was the Thursday night maybe, and right before the half, BYU hits a pass and they just rip it out of his hands, run it back. 3 seconds left in the half, they throw a Hail Mary, they score to go into the half. That's who they are, and they're just a bunch of good players that really try to get the ball, and they'll take it from you. Yeah, it's funny. A lot of times you think when you go on the road, it's not gonna be, it's a disadvantage. But I think for us, I think the way we do it is right. I think we travel first class. Our kids act first class. I was on Sirius XM radio, and the guy was saying that they're based out of Nashville, and he was saying that the guy at the Lowe's Hotel said of all the pro and college teams he's had come through there in the last 10 years, our players were, and this is on national radio now, he says, our players were the most prepared, most professional, most polite, most courteous. So I think our kids buy into how we want to represent Temple when we go on the road. And I think it's also sometimes it's nice to kind of get away and get together, right? There's no, other than cell phones, there's just no distractions, we're kind of all there together. We have a chance to really focus and go into a hostile environment. When you go into a hostile environment, this will be a hostile environment now. You have to lean on each other. And that's the thing we're trying to get our team to do, is just learn how to lean on each other. Don't go outside, don't worry about the situation. Focus on each other. And we did it at Memphis last year. We've been able to do it a couple times. Hopefully we can do it Friday night because we'll need to. No, I mean, and I should be careful what I mean. They're doing all the same things, right? It's just now Ward, when they're not open, or he's just taking off and running, and he's hurting people. I mean, at the end of the day, they're based out of tempo. I mean, they wear you out. They snap the ball as fast and as often as anybody in the NCAA. So, they get up there and said, Hut, run the play. Said, Hut, run the play. But, the wideouts are hard to cover. They have a really good, well-coached offensive line, and they're still spread out. So they haven't changed the play. So we can look at what they've done over the last 2 years, and you basically see what they do. They just do it really, really well. Now they have an added dynamic of the fact that this quarterback can really run.
Hey, Matt, some of these guys have experience that, losing early on last year. How do you get a sense of how your players viewed last year and, recognizing what 4-1 is actually is since they struggled so much last year?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, maybe it's me being a little, what I want to see, but my thing is I've always wanted them to understand. You go way back to Notre Dame last year when we lost, and I would always say, we control how we play, and we control, what the outcome is. It's not about anybody else. It's not about Tulsa or, Houston. There's gonna be times we play a team that's just flat better than us, and that is what it is. But the way we win is we play our brand of football, and we follow our process all week. So we do the same thing on Tuesday, all week. We do the same thing on Wednesday. And so if our kids understand that there's a process that goes into playing each week, and if we stick to it and do it as well as we can, then we get to the game, we're going to at least have a chance to play in the game. And then, if we blow a team out, which happened a couple times early, great. But it's not really going to happen in these games, right? I mean, it's going to go all the way down to the end of the game. So we're going to play, good things, bad things, play our way through the adversity, get to halftime, regroup, try to get it to the fourth quarter. And in the fourth quarter, try to make the plays at the end to win. And so that's what all we said for 2 years, right? And so now the kids are starting to understand, like, okay, you can look back at the games we've lost. We didn't really do those things. Look back at the games we've won. We've done those things. And if they buy into that, then that gives them, perspective moving forward. So, like, they hear me say that, then I put on Chip Kelly saying, hey, it's a process, and then they shake their head like, yeah, that makes sense, right? Jimbo Fisher I put on, all these, Nick Saban, all, Jameis Winston, all saying the same thing. If you want to be really good, you have to play really good. And if you want to play really good, you have to prepare really good. And that's our job. So they're doing that now at a much better level than they did last year, and that's why they've had some success. And if they want to win, they got to do it even at a higher level because Houston knows how to play too.
Cultural, macro level, big picture level, what does 4-1 mean to the program right now?
It's hard for me because I wish we were 5-0. You know what I'm saying? So I think it just means that the kids have. I think it means the kids have bought in. They've worked hard, and they've done a good job of what's been presented with them. Does that make sense? Yeah. And so for me, that having a record that shows some success and really shows some improvement, right? I mean. Last year at this time we were 0-5, so it shows improvement. I think it shows the kids that their work is paying off to a degree, and more importantly, it shows them that they are, the things I'm saying, they are in control of their record. It's not something else that's happening outside. It's not like this nebulous thing that just happens to us. We play well, we can win. If we don't play well, we lose, right? So when they understand that and they understand that control, now they can move forward and say, okay, now we want to be really good. Like we're trying to be a good team. Now we want to be a great team. Now we have to go from preparing at a high level to preparing at a great level. And so that's the part I want. I mean, I tell the kids all the time, I'd like to be here for a long time, and I'd like to build a program that not me, but I'd like us to build a program that is solid and is not inconsistent. And so to do that, we can't talk about, hey, we're excited to be 4-1, right? We need to talk about, hey, we're 4-1, why? Why are we 4-1? We're 4-1 because we're doing these things. And if we want to be 5-1, we better do all these things plus a little bit more each week. Does that make sense? And that's where I think we can hopefully grow it.
In the time that you've seen Ward, is he really scanning the field, or is he kind of just looking at his first read?
No, he's a quarterback now. I mean, he was a quarterback at Tyler High School in Texas. Now, I mean, he's a quarterback. He played wide out for him because that's how dynamic he is. But I mean, he gets out, he feels some pressure, he starts scrambling, stepping up. His eyes are down the field. He's hitting 18-yard in cuts as they come open. I mean, he can throw it. So they doing everything they did, but he also has the ability to run. And not just run like he's fast. I mean, guys are having a hard time tackling him. He's physical. Against UCF at the end of the game, he took over the game, and they couldn't tackle him until that unfortunate play at the end. But I mean, he single-handedly brought those guys back. And I don't want to be lost. I mean, they have a handful of great wideouts. I mean, they have 4 or 5 guys that are really hard to cover, and so he gets the ball to them when he can.
Do you have to anticipate something where like they could bring a corner out on second down, he splits out, and they run some trick play stuff with him? Do you see anything like that? Or?
Now you know why I don't sleep at night. I'm seriously, like we worry about all those things, right? But I mean, they have really good coaches, and they beat us last year, so they know what they're doing. I mean, I'm excited. I'm excited that our kids have to be prepared for everything. I'm excited that we're underdogs again. I mean, like, it's not fun when it's more fun like we're going to get on a plane, go down there, and people don't think we're going to beat them, and we're going to go play against all these great players that they have that beat us last year. I mean, that's why we coach, right? We want our kids to have these environments and these moments, and so we're preparing them for everything. But at the end of the day, they're going to do a lot of creative things, and our kids are going to have to respond at the right moment. Yeah, Leon practiced today, so I'm happy. I mean, he's practicing. We have Jalen Robinson up practicing with us. We're trying to redshirt Jalen. I mean, he is going to be outstanding in a year, and really just for his sake, I don't want to play him this year if I don't have to. And then Dion, hopefully he'll practice tomorrow. And knowing Dion, I think he'll be ready to go. He finished that game out. He limped around a little bit, but he's better. It's probably just me more being cautious today. So I'm expecting Dion to play, and Leon will be available. And it was a real step for our offensive line last week. They played a lot better in the run game, didn't protect as well, and they'll have their work cut out this week.
Hey, Matt, not had a chance to get Colin out there. What do you see in him, moving forward from the things?
Well, Collins, first of all, he's a competitor. It's been nice to have that spark. We have a lot of great competitors, but it's nice to have another spark, another guy on offense that has some energy and some juice to bring some passion to the game. He's a really good blocker. He's good in space, and he's athletic. I mean, we're going to have an opportunity to throw the ball to him and find some things that are open. So we anticipate using him. We only play with really one tight end a lot of times. So, Musso's played well, Sal's played well, and he allows us to go fast in the no huddle. But I think Colin's going to be a weapon and someone that we can look for in the passing game.
I think they're leading the league with 11 interceptions. Like beyond the obvious stuff, what do you have to coach up PJ to do to eliminate some of those mistakes?
I mean, it's the same thing every week. We want to have a focus on the turnovers, but we don't want our kids to be paranoid, right? The biggest thing is, like, we threw the pick last week, right? I mean, I'm frustrated, but I'm not mad at him. You're going to live with those. That kid made an unbelievable play, right? He's running to the left. The guy's wide open. He jumps back, makes a great catch. Same catch Tyler had a chance to make, right? And we dropped it, right? So, you're going to throw interceptions. What I just don't want is the silly ones, right? But the big thing is just to be on time, get the ball out of your hand fast. We spread things out so much that you should be able to see who's open early and make a quick decision and get the ball out.
Coach, at 4-1, I think it's probably natural for 18 to 22-year-olds to maybe let their minds drift toward the idea of bowl eligibility, which was something that obviously wasn't on the table last year. How do you rein that in and kind of focus on that one game?
Right.
Well,
I think just after what they went through last year, I think that they appreciate, I think they understand the process more than most. If they would have been bowl eligible last year, then they'd probably be like, oh, this is our natural right. You know what I mean? So I think they have that. I was here in 2010. We were 4-1, and we ended up not going to a bowl. So, that was a sad moment for me for those seniors, And so I think our kids, I haven't even talked about it, though. I think our kids, they lost to Houston last year, you know what I mean? And they turned the tape on. I mean, they know who Markeith, they know those players, and they know how good they are. So I get the sense coming out of last week, against Tulsa, that the minute I said Houston in the locker room afterwards, they know how good they are, and they know that they came here and they beat us, and they kicked 5 field goals, and we missed a field goal, and we missed an extra point, and we turned the ball over 3. So I feel like we're pretty locked in, but as you said, with 18 to 22-year-olds, I mean, we always fight that battle, but we fight the battle as coaches as well. I mean, you start getting excited, and you have to just ground yourself and say, what are we doing today, right? And so I thought we had a good practice today, and our kids will come back for meetings tonight, and hopefully stay on process.
Last week you said this was going to start the stretch of playing a lot of the spread teams, starting with Tulsa and facing another one. How do you think your secondary did last week against Tulsa?
Well, just great question. Think about this. We played 4 freshman corners in a Division I football game against the 30th ranked passing offense in the country and won the football game. I mean, that's a credit to Fran and Phil and those guys. I mean, 4 freshman corners. 3 true freshmen. Saquon Jefferson played, had the pass interference, but played pretty well at times. Anthony Davis played, and Champ played. And then Artrell Foster, who redshirted last year as a redshirt freshman. Those 4 kids played because Kyrie was hurt. And, I was proud of them, for that battle, for that Hail Mary to go up at the end, and those guys to knock it down, bail me out after, we went for it on 4th and 1. I was pleased with those guys. Really, at the end of the day, Tulsa beat us up by running the football. I thought that running back Lang, he was impressive. He ran the ball well, and they had a couple underneath things that ran. But, we had one ball go over our head. The kid made an amazing catch. It's going to happen in Division I football. But I was pleased with our secondary, and it was good to have Wells back out there. He'll play this week. You guys always want to know the exact injury, and I'm always scared to say it because I know the other team's listening to it. So, all right, guys, thank you. Appreciate it.